Mr. President, every week I've been coming down to the floor to talk about my state, what I think makes it the greatest state in the country, in the world, and we like to celebrate and recognize somebody in Alaska who is making a difference for their community, for the state, for the country. And we like to call these extraordinary Alaskan individuals our Alaskan of the Week. Now, like many of us here in the Senate, I spent a lot of time recently in August traveling throughout my home state and everywhere met strong, generous, versatile Alaskans, many of whom survive in some of the harshest conditions in the planet, but still have time for their communities and their families and their neighbors. But like in many places in the country, I also saw the scourge of addiction that's tearing apart communities and tearing apart families. And we've all heard how addiction often is passed down through generations. There are many in Alaska, many throughout the country, who are determined to break this intergenerational cycle of addiction. And many who are succeeding. We don't always hear about them, but there are many. So, Mr. President, this afternoon I'd like to introduce you to 81-year-old Roseanne Kimpton, our Alaskan of the Week, who's doing that and a lot more. Roseanne and her husband moved to Alaska from Washington State in 1958, and they immediately settled in. They ran businesses together, a small retail store, then they got into construction and contracting. They raised 2 children. They were a team. About 10 years ago, they moved to a large plot of land in Wasilla, Alaska, over 50 acres, to spend time in retirement. And they made plans, gardening, traveling around the world. But it didn't take long for Roseanne to recognize that something was wrong, very wrong in her family, particularly with what was happening to 2 of her great-grandchildren, Luke and Amanda. They were living in a situation that was harmful to them, and they needed help. Now, at this point, Roseanne's husband was also suffering from his own illness, cancer, but the 2 of them took Luke and Amanda in and adopted them. It was the only way to make sure they were safe, Roseanne said. And when a kid needs to be taken care of, and when a mommy and daddy can't, you do it, she said. I couldn't just live with myself knowing that they were in danger, and I did nothing. This is Roseanne about her 2 great-grandkids. That was 10 years ago. Roseanne, now a widow, lives with Amanda and Luke on that big plot of land in Wasilla. Amanda is a senior in high school, and Luke is in 8th grade. And they're great kids. Matter of fact, I just had the opportunity to visit with them in my office yesterday. Amanda loves geometry. She plays the violin with the Matsu Youth Orchestra and drums and dances with the Intertribal Drum Group in Anchorage. And Luke's dream, his big dream, is to join the Navy, which I think is great. The 3 of them volunteer in their community helping foster kids. Amanda makes blankets for the foster kids, and every Sunday they drive over 100 miles to attend Emmanuel Presbyterian Church in Anchorage, which is like a second home to all of them. In addition to all this, Roseanne is the area volunteer coordinator for Volunteers of America Grand Families, a grandparent support group. And once a month, she has a picnic for her fellow grandparents and other parents who have adopted kids. The kids play games, eat hamburgers, hot dogs. The adults sit around the campfire, share stories, and encourage one another on all the work they're doing. She's in constant contact with about 25 families, and whenever she spots someone she thinks might need help with their kids or their grandkids or their great-grandkids, she gives them her card. I'm not a shy person, she said. I'll talk to anyone who looks like they're struggling, and I'm particularly good at spotting grandparents who are raising kids. Grandparents who are raising kids throughout our great nation. Mr. President, as the opioid crisis is hitting Alaska, just like it's hitting so many other states, she's seeing more and more grandparents stepping in. It's a plague, she said, but the most important thing is to help the children as early as possible and to do what we can to make sure they don't carry on that plague. Mr. President, Roseanne Kimpton is here right now in D.C. As I mentioned, had a great meeting with her yesterday to attend a banquet where her efforts will be recognized. She is the 2017 recipient of the Alaska Angels and Adoption Award and will be recognized by the Congressional Coalition on Adoption. Roseanne, thank you for your award, for all your hard work for Alaska. Congratulations on your award, and congratulations on being our Alaskan of the Week.